Hey everybody, welcome back to Late Night Movie Talk, and tonight we're going to talk about Avatar, Fire and Ash, and we once again return to the world of Pandora, where we pick up basically where Way of Water leaves off, and Jake Sully and his family are dealing with the loss of their son, Natam, and meanwhile the war between the Na'vi and the humans continue to escalate, and which is only worsened when they encounter um, the Ash people led by Varang. So just like the last two films, looks amazing. The special effects, the 3D are unparalleled. The the detail, the colors, the world building, everything is top tier when it comes to Avatar. James Cameron knows what he's doing, and he takes it very seriously, and I appreciate that. Um, I'm actually a really big fan of the first Avatar film. Way of Water, not so much, because it just feels like the story is rehashing. Um, and that's going to be a similar, critique of Fire and Ash, where, you know, as far as the story goes, we're still, getting a lot of the same old, same old. And just like Way of Water, we have an over 3 hour film, and you feel the runtime. It definitely needs to be shorter. Um, there's a lot that we could cut out. You will feel a lot of the story points and the themes are definitely carried over from the first and the second one, and that's a valid criticism because it doesn't feel very fresh and original, and so you kind of start to lose interest. But with that being said, I think that Fire and Ash does build on Way of Water. So I actually enjoy Fire and Ash more than Way of Water. This feels like a continuation, like a part two to Way of Water. And so now two and three feel like one complete, story. Still not the best writing, and some of the dialogue is kind of cringy, especially the way Jake talks, and I'm just like, that's just a personal preference. For me, what I think James Cameron does well in this movie is the character development that he, gives to a lot of these characters, not just Jake Sully and Neytiri and his children, but the Water Clan, the villains, and not only we also get Varang, who is the leader of the Ash people. She's super interesting, psychotic, and brings a whole new dynamic to the story. I was all on board with that. I was very interested in her character. The issue is that she's just not in the movie enough. Same thing with Quaritch, not in it a lot. Another development that I did appreciate is the character Spider, the human that got left behind. It's the Colonel's son. He is basically gifted by Awa the ability to breathe on Pandora without the need of a mask. And that opens up a whole new can of worms that the humans are trying to exploit. And so now they're trying to protect Spider and look for a way for the humans to not be able to reverse engineer whatever is allowing him to be able to breathe. Because obviously, if the humans were able to breathe on Pandora, that's a very huge problem. And so we do get a lot of development with certain characters and certain story points, and we see a continuation from like the whales, for example, that's kind of expanded maybe a little too much. Like I said, there's a lot of things that drag on because I mean it's over 3 hours, so there's a lot of scenes and sequences that just could really be cut down. But with that being said, the action sequences, the fights, all of it's you know really well done. Again, Cameron knows what he's doing. They look phenomenal. The 3D looks amazing. I mean, this is the best looking Avatar, film to date, which means it's the best looking movie of the year. And you forget that it's essentially all fake, all CGI. It's just the level of detail is really nothing short of amazing, but it doesn't completely make up for the lack of, I would say, good writing or great writing. Um, Not to say that I dislike this movie because I was very much entertained. There's lots to like here, and there's lots to entertain you. It's just it's still not. It has the same issues that Way of Water has. It's just in my opinion, it improves it a little, but not enough to be like, oh my god, this is worth paying a full IMAX price ticket. I mean, that's it might be pushing it a little too much, but it's still worth going to see in the theater because the production on this is just you would never get that at home ever. If you go to see this in IMAX, Dolby, Prime, whatever that is, I guarantee you don't have the setup at home to be able to appreciate what you're seeing on screen. The I saw it in IMAX 3D. I would definitely recommend at least seeing it in 3D because it really adds that much, to the film. It's definitely meant to be seen in 3D IMAX if you can do that. But I mean, maybe on like a discount night, like a matinee kind of thing. Like I said, it's worth going to see the theater. Just not, I wouldn't necessarily say rush out to see it. But if you're a fan of the first one and the second one, you're going to love Fire and Ash without question. If you aren't necessarily the biggest fan of Way of Water, you probably won't be the biggest fan of Fire and Ash. So basically, the way you feel about the first two films, you'll probably feel about this one, if that is any indication. For me, I really like the first one. Not a very big fan of the second one, but I did enjoy this one. Even with its flaws, I was very much entertained, and Neytiri continues to be the best character in these three films because this whole movie, she's between the the Saik and the Water Clan, and then the Saik from the Ash people. Like for her, Neytiri is ready to throw hands on sight. Like she is, like she's not scared of anything. She's out for blood. She will you know she will kill you. She is down for a fight all the time. And Jake is always kind of like, maybe let's like think about this. And Neytiri's like, nah, let's kill him. She's not playing around. Like she means business. She's like, we need to stop. You know, basically being. We don't need to be diplomatic about this. They deserve to die. We need to act. And I really appreciate that because you can tell she's hurting. She lost her son, but she wants to get rid of these sky people. She wants her way of life back, and she's willing to do anything to get it back and to protect her family. So Zoe Saldana is still the standout. Um, Kiri is another standout character with her connection to Awa that plays a pretty significant role in this. Won't say anything about that. Um, the thing with Spider is that you see from the trailer that like I said, he can breathe without a mask. That also gives him a different ability, which I won't bring up because I don't think it was in the trailer. I wasn't a fan of that, but if you've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. And it probably wouldn't, it probably doesn't bother most people. I just thought it was really weird. Um, but it's not like it ruins anything for me. He's still a really good character. I like him. He's cool. Like I said, Varang from the Ash people. Super interesting character. And so her teaming up with Colonel Courage was really interesting. You just don't get enough of them. As long as this movie is, you don't really get a lot of screen time with them. So that's another kind of a downer. But it looks beautiful. It does build on the last one. It's worth going to see in the theater. I would, like I said, recommend go to see IMAX 3D, whatever it is that's available to you. And if you've seen it, go ahead, comment below. Tell me what you thought about it. How does it rank against the other two Avatar movies? For me, it's definitely Avatar. 2009, the first one, followed by Fire and Ash, and then Way of Water. I don't hate any of the movies, including Way of Water. I just wish the story offered a little bit more instead of just kind of like rehashing from the previous film. But it's a formula and it works. I mean, it'll make a lot of money. So, but anyway, comment below, let me know, and until next time, take care.